So Schardt
Oh,
cross.
Your Honor.
Yes. Oh, yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, so before we broke for lunch, there was some discussion with this witness about comparing Defendant Stillwell Exhibit 44, which was a picture with a State's Exhibit 510, which was essentially the same picture, and there was a little box. And I just wanted to let y'all know that there was nothing in that box at the time it was introduced into evidence, because at that time, it hadn't been established what the box meant or if what was in the box could come in or anything like that. So that's the reason that there was nothing in that box. There's not anything nefarious about that, okay? All right, just want to let y'all know that. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Schardt. Thanks for the reminder.
Your Honor, permission to publish DS-44?
Yes, you may.
Actually, you know what, 510Y? Do you have 510Y? Okay, DS-44.
You may.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Okay, Mr. Sprinkel, I am handing you State's Exhibit 510Y and Defense Exhibit DS-44.
Okay.
Okay, we can agree that that is the same picture?
Yes, the photograph is the same. The stuff around the photograph, the frame and whatnot is different.
Okay, and that photo is also on the screen, correct?
Yes, the DS-44 is on the screen. That's correct.
Okay. Now, I want to get this right as far as what your testimony is. You've been to the exterior of the Sky House, correct?
Yeah, I've been outside the Sky House.
As part of this investigation or another investigation?
Who is this investigation?
Okay. You've never been inside the Sky House or inside the units?
No, I've never been inside one of the units.
Okay. Is your testimony that this is a picture of Shannon Stillwell in the Sky House or not?
I believe that it is, though I've not been inside the Sky House. That was my recollection from everything I put together, that was him standing inside the condo at the Sky House that evening. But if you were to ask me, like if I stood where he is standing in this picture, no. So I can't say with 100% certainty, no.
Okay. Now, in State's 510 Yankee, I believe it is, there's a date and time on that photo, correct? On that exhibit?
Yes.
Okay, what is the date and time?
January 10th, 2015 at 9:58 p.m.
2015 at 9:58 p.m. Okay. Now, that is the date where someone posted this photo with this caption on social media, correct?
That's correct.
That is not necessarily the time when this photo was taken.
That's correct.
In fact, do you know who took this photo?
Well, there was somebody who told me they took the photo. I showed them this photo, and they told me they took it.
Okay.
It's written in my report, so if I'm wrong, please let me know, but I'm pretty sure I recall who told me that.
Okay. And were you able to determine when this photo was taken?
I can tell you, all I know is what the person told me.
Okay. You're not, and I don't want to elicit hearsay, but you're not, please keep that up, Mr. Kokomo. You're not telling the jury that this photo was taken on January 10th, 2015, are you?
I don't know when the photo was taken.
Okay. Well, you're familiar with the seasons here in Atlanta?
I am.
All right. Sunsets?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, 9:58 p.m. on a January evening. You would agree that that photo does not depict what the Atlanta streets would look like at 9:58 p.m. on January 10th of 2015, does it?
No, it'd be dark out.
It would be dark out if that was in fact the time.
That's correct. Eastern Standard Time, it would be dark out.
Okay, so bottom line is, this is Shannon, but we do not know, we don't have any information to say when this photo was taken.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I was told when it was taken, thereabouts.
That information, I understand that we're getting back in this hearsay, that information wasn't that it was taken that day, was it?
That's correct.
It was taken another day.
That's correct.
All right. So this photo does not place Shannon Stillwell at the Sky House on January 10th, 2015, does it?
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know when the picture was taken.
Your information is it wasn't taken on January 10th.
That's well, it was posted on January 10th. But like I said, I know that's not. I don't know that it was taken on January 10th. The person who told me something else says otherwise, then it wasn't, or was telling me the truth and it wasn't.
Okay. Let's talk about And you can take that down, Mr. Kokomo. You can take that. Thank you. You became involved in this case in January 2016, correct?
Around that time, it may have been a little bit before that, but that was when I really started getting involved.
And I've read your report. You reviewed certain work done by other individuals, correct?
I did.
Okay. Now, my question to you is, were you provided with Detective Thorpe's file?
I was.
His entire file?
Well, I have what he gave me. Was that everything in his file? I don't know. I'm sure I asked him for everything in his file. I hope that he gave me everything that he had.
Do you have his rough notes?
I don't know that I got, no, I don't think I did. If it's not so with me, everything that I receive would be digitized. So if it's not like in other words, if I were to get something like rough notes, which if he were to just give them to me, which would be unusual, and I would remember something like that, I would have immediately scanned them anyway, and they'd be reduced to digital form. If they're not in the digital case file, then I don't have them.
How about Investigator Dennis and Investigator Gaither? Did they give you case files?
They gave me. I wouldn't go so far as to say well, I guess it depends on what you define as a case file. They gave me cell phone records that I asked for, various videos and cell phone data extractions. I remember meeting with Dennis in particular, at least, it would have been multiple times, but yeah, and just sitting at his computer and him just saving things like cell phone records and whatnot. It's like an external thumb drive. So when you ask me if they gave me case files, it'd be something like that. It would be like data that was pertinent, like cell phone records, that kind of thing. But as far as like a completed case file, I don't know if I received anything quite like that from them.
Did they give you police reports that they authored?
Yeah, I seem to remember they did.
Did they ever indicate to you that some of their police reports were missing? That the Atlanta Police Department had lost them?
No, I don't recall. I don't recall anything specifically about any police reports being deleted. They don't type them on a typewriter. There should be a database. I've never heard of that. I don't know how they would just be deleted. There'd be an audit trail or something. So no, I don't recall anything like that. It's not to say that nothing about like that was said. I just don't remember it.
Right. There would be a trail, an audit trail for reports that are typed in but then go missing, correct?
Well, yeah, you would think, right? Like I said, they don't type them on a typewriter. It's some sort of database. I mean, I guess maybe I'm speculating a bit, but it's just common sense.
Judge, I would object speculation if this witness can't say.
Let's talk about these videos. When you received the case file, we had a surveillance video outside the barbershop from various angles.
There were 2 angles, I believe, that were pertinent anyway.
I think it was 3, but I got you.
Okay.
And then video outside the Texaco.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask the same question since you volunteered that Mr. Copeland is not on the Texaco video. Mm-hmm. Do you see Mr. Shannon Stillwell on the video outside the Texaco?
You do not.
Okay. Now, as part of an investigation, leave you out of it. Part of an investigation is to obtain surveillance video, correct?
Yes.
And now when you take over, you said January 2016. I'm saying take over. Maybe that's not the correct word. You became involved January 2016, correct?
That's correct.
All right. That's a year after this incident.
That's correct.
Okay. Is it fair to say that over a year's time, things can happen with surveillance video, the availability of surveillance video that would make it difficult for someone taking over a year later to uncover surveillance videos that had not been retrieved yet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Surveillance videos they're just stored on computers and eventually, but they don't have infinite storage. So there's a retention period that's oftentimes very short. It can be 48 hours to 2 weeks, but a year, I wouldn't think that you'd be able to get surveillance video after a year from anywhere, unless the people that maintained the video just like preserved it on their own without the prompting of the government.
And in a situation like that, the expectation of obtaining pertinent surveillance video would be on the original investigators, not someone taking over a year later like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, maybe particularly back then. I mean, maybe now with all these private companies, companies like Ring, maybe they retain their video a little bit longer. But like a gas station where they just have the storage mounted inside their facility on like a hard drive, yeah, you're not getting video after a year unless, like I said, they took the initiative on their own to preserve it.
And these time limits they're known to law enforcement. You know about these time limits, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's not a secret.
No.
Okay, and that's why it's important to obtain surveillance video quickly in an investigation.
Yes.
It's going to be pertinent. Okay, so Green Store. You know that is Mommy's Grocery on Glen Street, correct?
That sounds right. I'm familiar with the Green Store. I can't recall the specific address, but that sounds right to me.
A minute from the barber shop.
Okay, I don't know if it's
All right.
quite that close.
Okay. Question that I have, when you took over this case and reviewed the statements, you became aware that Kenneth Copeland placed himself at the Green Store, according to his rendition of events, at the approximate time of the shooting, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Misstatement and of the
Can you
facts.
rephrase?
Kenneth Copeland placed himself, upon your review of the work that had already been done on this case, you became aware that Kenneth Copeland, in his statements to police, placed himself at the Green Store at the approximate time of the shooting.
Wait, placed himself at the Green Store. Again, I don't know, because the thing, he wouldn't have, during his statement, he didn't know the exact time the shooting occurred. So I don't know that he would be able to say that I was there when the shooting occurred.
I know, but you have reviewed surveillance, you've reviewed the times. And what I'm asking is, did Kenneth Copeland place himself at the Green Store, to your knowledge, at the approximate time of the shooting?
So if the 911 call was at 7:22 p.m., which I believe it was, from what I recall, Mr. Copeland's cell phone tower logs placed him in the area of the Green Store starting at about 7:26 p.m.
Okay. So within 4 minutes of the shooting, he's claiming he's at the Green Store.
I don't know if he claimed that. This is what I found in his cell phone records. I don't know if he was actually at the Green Store at that time.
Did you not listen to his statements that he gave?
I did.
His June 10th statement. Okay. Let me just ask you this.
But I just don't know if it was that specific where he said, at this time I was at the Green Store. This is based on my review of his cell phone records, trying to piece together his timeline outside of the interview.
Okay. In your review of the case file provided by Detective Thorpe, did you ever see any surveillance from the Green Store?
No,
Did you ever make any efforts to obtain surveillance from the Green Store?
no.
Okay. McDonald's on Cleveland Avenue. I'm going to ask the same question. In the case file provided by Investigator Thorpe, did that have surveillance from McDonald's on Cleveland Avenue?
It did not.
Okay. Did his documentation ever document a reason why that wasn't included?
I don't recall. I believe I just don't know. I don't know why it wasn't
And
included.
as part of your investigation, albeit after a year, did you ever obtain any video from McDonald's?
I didn't.
All right. One last thing. Do you have your report in front of you?
I do.
Okay. As part of your investigation, I think you testified. Well, let me ask you this. Your role with the DA's office, it seems since 2013, has kind of been a dual lawyer/investigator role, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're not in standard courtrooms necessarily litigating cases. You're doing more investigations.
I do the preliminary hearings on the murders, but yeah, for the most part, I'm just investigating cases.
Okay. Now, as part of your role in this special role within the DA's office, have you obtained training about forensics and evidence collection and things of that nature?
That's a broad question. I've been to there. Yes, I have attended training and CLEs and that kind of thing. Maybe a little bit more specifically.
Okay. You're familiar with gunshot residue?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the places gunshot residue can be looked for is someone's hands, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And hypothetically, if I were to hand or fire a firearm,
Objection, Your Honor. This is improper for this witness.
I think that's a foundational objection.
I'm going to ask him about the work he did in a second.
A hypothetical.
I'm just getting there. Okay, well, forget about the hypothetical. Can you test someone's hands for gunshot residue?
Yes.
Okay. And the time window for testing someone's hands for gunshot residue is
Objection, Your
very
Honor.
limited, correct?
I don't,
Objection,
foundational,
yes, there is a foundation objection. Thank you.
sustained.
Do you, as part of your job, do you seek out search warrants to obtain evidence in criminal cases?
Yes. Well, I draft them and review them with the DA's office investigators primarily, and then they seek them out. as the affiants.
So much like a homicide detective, you're able to look at a scenario, decide what sort of testing you would like on a certain piece of evidence, and then have the investigators that work with you draft such applications for a search warrant.
Yes.
Okay? And certainly, as in this role where you're seeking evidence, you know about the rules of evidence collection and what can be collected and the timelines that it can be collected in?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd move to, I submit that ADA Sprinkel is an expert in gunshot residue collection.
No, I don't think that's been established.
Okay. Did you seek gunshot residue testing in this case?
Well, I certainly contemplated on one specific item, but that ultimately didn't work.
Well, you in fact drafted a search warrant.
I did, yeah.
Okay. So let's go back. Hands, there's a limited amount of time that you can search for gunshot.
Objection, foundation.
You need to establish that he, if you can, whether he knows that.
Do you know about the timeframes general as they apply to the collection of gunshot residue off of different types of objects?
No, I don't know that it's static. I don't know if it's, the particulate matter that is expelled from a gunshot just dissolves after a certain amount of time. I don't think that's how it works.
Right, it remains. That's
And-
my understanding, is it remains.
Unless there's some external force that removes it.
Like sweat or washing your hands or something like that?
Objection,
right?
Your Honor, foundation.
Sustained.
Okay. The rules for those timeframes are different from hands to other objects. right?
Objection, foundation.
Sustained.
On May 9th, 2016, well, you were following up on, with Hertz Rental Car about the Infinity, correct?
It would have been around that period. I don't remember if that was the specific day, but that sounds about right.
Okay, and through investigation, you were able to determine the actual VIN number of the Infinity, correct?
Yeah, I believe it was just within the records that is Hertz sent us.
Okay, and on May 9th, 2016, you located that actual car, the Infinity, correct?
Not me personally, but investigator, well, maybe I figured out where it was. Somehow or another, we figured out it belonged to a private citizen in Mississippi.
Miss Cleveland, who lives in Como, Mississippi, correct?
Irma Cleveland, yes.
All right. And you confirmed that the car, the physical car, was in fact in her driveway on her property, correct?
There's some law enforcement officer drove out there and photographed it.
Okay. And on May 31st, 2016, you would agree that is 1 year, 5 months after the Donovan Thomas shooting, approximately 1 year, 4 months?
Yes, that's about right.
Okay. After finding this Infinity in Mississippi, you drafted a warrant, a search warrant for a search of the Infinity, correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, in that search warrant that you had drafted, you were looking for two things in particular, correct?
I remember gunshot residue was one of them, I believe, and also some data from the computer system.
Right. You were interested in extracting the contents from the computer system of the vehicle, the Infinity.
That's correct.
And you were also interested in a search for gunshot residue from the inside of that Infinity, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you specify what parts of the car that you were seeking to have searched for gunshot residue to have wiped?
Well, I don't have the draft in front of me, but I would imagine the headliner, the cloth that kind of,
Okay.
that is affixed to the ceiling of the vehicle.
Why would you have chosen the headliner?
Just in my experience, that's traditionally what's analyzed for gunshot residue inside a vehicle.
It's made of cloth?
It is. Well, I usually, I guess now that you mention it, I don't know for a fact that the headliner in this particular vehicle was made of cloth.
Okay. And it also would be at the top of the vehicle where the particles are likely to shoot up when the gun is expelled, correct? Or when
That's
the gun is
correct.
expelled. Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation, relevance. 403.
Sustained as to foundation.
Well, as a drafter of the search warrant, you felt the place to look for gunshot residue was the headliner of the vehicle.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Asked and answered. And with
Well,
respect to
overruled
foundation
Because he didn't answer the last one because there was an
No.
objection.
and
You didn't
foundation.
answer that.
You thought the headliner was a good place to look.
Yeah, I don't know if I just, in the search warrant, I said only take out the headliner. It was probably broad enough to allow the law enforcement agents that would be executing the search warrant broad latitude in the surfaces that they analyzed.
And you were interested in having this search for gunshot residue inside this vehicle done, even though 16 months had passed since January 10, 2015, correct?
That's correct.
No further questions. Thank you.